Hello, I'm LisaKay.
And I'm Taylor Cole Longacre.
And this is
Intentional Talk.
This is a show that cares and brings positives to the air.
Today, we are blessed to be with Rob Altman II. He's a retired U.S. Army veteran. He served as an infantry officer, and he was deployed multiple times over his 25-year military career. He is a resident of Denton County, actually in Frisco. He's completed his leadership program in Advanced Security Studies, and he is chairman of the Frisco Veterans Advisory Committee, a past chairman. We are excited to talk with you, Rob, and learn more about you. Major USA retired Rob Altman. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Taylor. Thank you, Lisa.
Yes, thank you for being here today.
Absolutely. It's a privilege and an honor. I'm grateful.
For us as well.
Yeah. So when LisaKay invited you to come, she said, we are in a treat to hear from you, and we're very much looking forward to it. Well, tell us a bit about your military career.
So my story and my military career is much like that of most service members. I was a young person who, as I like to say, was late starting out of the gate. So I enlisted in service, and then thankfully through the military and great mentors that saw something in me, I was able to go to college, join an officer program, go to graduate school, and I have been very blessed by the opportunities that the service gave me. And over the career, I did several different things, from communications to being an infantry officer to strategic studies. And I think that informed me and shaped who I am as a person, and certainly developed some of my passions.
Wow, that's wonderful. What do you see some of the biggest needs are from our communities today?
Well, I think that the title of your show is a great need, Intentional Talk.
Okay.
And so I told you earlier that I noticed that title, and it made me excited because it was deliberate. I am very passionate about community service, and I think that being intentional about loving people, serving people, and connecting with people and understanding what it is that they're passionate about is at the core of a successful community.
Oh, you said it perfectly. I mean, that's even how I feel about Fellowship Power Lunch. It is about that, connecting people. And,
Yeah,
I'm kind of stumped by that. Yeah,
it really is.
Beautifully said.
There's a big need for a connection and connectivity amongst the veteran community, as well as with the private sector, with cities, with churches, arming themselves with the veteran community and showing support.
Well, I think back to LisaKay's speaker at last year's Veteran Power Lunch. And that gentleman's name was Brian Fleming. And Brian talked about resilience. And I thought about, and I went right up to him after his talk at the end of the program. I said, this is a huge blessing. As veterans, we are uniquely positioned to help our communities think through, learn about, and discuss resilience, especially with what we endured through the pandemic. Now, some people, it didn't hurt as much as it hurt others. And I think that's life in general. We each have different variables in our life, but resilience, I think that veterans understand just from when the drill sergeant is yelling at you, or you're enduring a tough situation where something just happened overseas, you know how to persevere through tough times.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that is a huge opportunity for us as veterans to share with you and say, hey, you know what, Lisa? You know what, Taylor? You had a rough day. Just take a deep breath. Because whether you're informed by your faith, whether you're informed by your parents raised you so wonderfully, or whatever it was in life, now you can talk to a veteran and they can share with you why they can get through a tough time.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's one opportunity we have to serve our community.
Mm-hmm.
There's a huge need for resilience training. And sadly, people are pretty offended nowadays and can't get through much. And if we could learn from people who've gone through serious battles, I think we could potentially be much stronger.
Well, that's why I loved your Intentional Talk title. I think there are so many problems that we face And because of that hyper offensive nature that we live in right now, which to be intentional, I just think is ridiculous. Because even if I don't see you from your experience, if I listen, I can get to the root problem of what it is that has hurt you or bothers you. And then if we identify that root cause together, then we can attack that root cause, just like a veteran would attack any mission, and figure out what do we need to do to make a solution. And guess what? I care about you. I see you. I hear you. Wherever you are, whatever the issue is, let's get this done. And I think if we could get past a lot of noise out there, we could do so much together for good.
Right.
There's a lot of bad noise out there.
That's right.
You remind me of last year, Fellowship Power Lunch Veterans Appreciation. The first year we launched, we walked it out 8 months. And I know Taylor's heard this so many times, but it's remarkable because last year, I didn't know what that was going to look like because of COVID. And I waited till the last minute. And then when I spoke to several veterans, I did a Zoom call, and each one of them said, if we have the courage to enlist and fight for our country, we don't care about COVID. And I launched it immediately. And so that's exactly what you're talking about.
That's right. Because as a veteran, I think one of the values, irrespective of your race, religion, or creed, is that we all come together day one and understand we have to accomplish something together. It's our mission. And Brian talked about that being one of the 3 things that you have to be resilient. You have to identify and expressly label what your mission is.
Yes. Yeah. And certainly from Brian's standpoint, being the blown up guy, having gone through all he's been through, resilience, he's the model of resilience. Now, we were talking about the partnering of our communities with the veterans community, Rob. You're past chairman of the Frisco Veterans Advisory Committee.
Right.
Tell us about your service there and what does that organization do?
So I am so grateful to city leaders in Frisco like Mayor Jeff Cheney and Councilman John Keating, who gave me the opportunity to serve our veterans in Frisco. Mayor Mar Masso started the Frisco Veterans Advisory Committee several years ago. And then when Mayor Jeff Cheney was elected, he said, I absolutely want you as an ad hoc committee to continue operating within the city, but I want you to do things. And so there was this idea that, okay, we're not going to exist just to exist, right? And so it was very exciting when I was approached and asked to take on the leadership, because that was just exciting. I had a mission, which was, as I coined the phrase with Mayor Cheney, positive patriotic action. So I wanted to transform us from just, valuing veterans and celebrating veterans and connecting veterans to the community, and making that last piece a little bit bigger. Like when J.P. Hogan, a former past chairman, is involved in an effort that celebrates our local students when they do go into the service. And so under that thinking, we wanted to say, hey, let's start thanking spouses. Let's start thanking families who encourage their family members to serve our country, because it is more than just the service member. It is a community together. Our local American Legion post in Frisco is named after Peter J. Coursey, who was a Frisco resident who died in Afghanistan. His mom and her husband, every year, they are the people behind the Wreaths Across America at the National Cemetery in DFW. So our community is impacted positively, even through tearful stories, to do good things based on our service to others.
That's great. Yes.
Wow. Are there any ceremonies coming up, celebrations coming up in the coming months?
Absolutely. So on May 4th, the Leadership Frisco Class 24 will do a fundraiser and celebration at Verona Villa in Frisco to bring awareness and celebrate the Frisco Veterans Memorial rehabilitation or revitalization. We're giving it a refresh. It's over 20 years old. We're going to put in a new battlefield cross, which honors our fallen service members. It'll be ready in time for Memorial Day, which is the more solemn holiday where we honor those that we've lost. And then it's just been such a great partnership amongst the community. People from corporations to individual people who care. We've come together with the Frisco Veterans Advisory Committee, the VFW, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, who just did the Vietnam Veterans Celebration, is an amazing post. It really was. Everything that they do there is fabulous. But we have several different groups working together to revitalize this memorial. And then a gentleman you had on the show recently, Chuck Wright, has been spearheading the campaign for the Frisco Gold Star Family Monument, and that is a monument specifically dedicated to honor those who paid the ultimate sacrifice of their loved ones. And that's going to be exciting because I believe that dedication is going to be on May 13th. So there's always something going on in the veteran space, and we like to say it is Frisco centered because it starts there, but it's also North Texas at large because in Dallas, Fort Worth, we have so many veterans.
We really do.
And it can be a model for the rest of the country. I think people are watching us. I believe it. And
that's right.
Fellowship Power Lunch, our annual Veterans Appreciation, I see this transcending much beyond Denton and Collin County.
And it should. Yes.
And I'm glad
all surrounding communities together.
That's right. I'm glad you said that because when they started out, the narrative was be veteran friendly. But then again, Colonel J.P. Hogan is pounding his fist on the desk with Mayor Cheney and Councilman Keating saying, no, we need to be veteran ready. And so, there's no standard in the nation for what does that mean, veteran ready? You go to different communities and you see websites. Well, this person has this. Somebody from Indianapolis, Indiana reached out to us last year and said, well, what are y'all doing? Somehow, some way they found out about what we're doing in North Texas. And to your point, it is designed, let's be a model. Let's share what we've learned, just like city governments do. City governments get together. They have off-site visits. They tour each other's cities and they say, what are you doing great with your county or your municipality? And so we want to do that same thing for veterans and say, here's the model. Here's how we do it. It may not work for you, but it's a way that you can get something done for good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Bringing all communities together. Yes. So how did you and I meet, Rob? It wasn't that long ago, was it?
I can't remember if it was at a veteran event. I think I met you before your Veterans Appreciation Lunch.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember which event it was. And we used to joke and say that before COVID in Dallas, you could throw a rock and hit an event, 3 different events on any one night, right?
Yes.
And so, honestly, Lisa, I can't remember. I just remember that someone introduced you. I don't know if it was Bill Wallace.
It could have been. You know what? I think it was. He invited you to one of my luncheons.
That's right.
And you came.
That's right.
Yeah. So tell the audience, you first experienced our Veterans Appreciation this past 2020. What was your takeaway from that, your experience? Takeaway or experience, or both?
Right, because he certainly remembers Brian Fleming, which we appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the type of person that just gets excited about people doing great things. And
I think something great should be every month for our veteran communities.
Well, and I like the idea of, hey, you served your country. You took an oath. You understood what it meant to swear an oath to the Constitution of the United States.
Yes.
Now let's get our backsides in gear at the local level, right? Let's take what we learned and what we got to be a part of and give back. And so I think that not only did the luncheon just touch me because you honored veterans, but it touched me because it was in the middle of the pandemic. Everybody's trying to figure out which end is up. And, whatever you feel about that, it was a trying time. It still is in many ways as we try to get through this. But as we said before, veterans know that we're going to get through this. And when you had Brian talking about resilience, I literally wanted to jump up out of my chair, holler, wave my arms, and scream, yes, what this guy is saying right here, right now, it's positive. This is what our country needs. This is what our state needs. This is what our community needs, because we need positive patriotic action we can do good things in spite of tough times.
Yeah. That's good to hear. Yeah.
So I was really fired up.
I can see.
It's like I was in church wanting to go, amen. You know?
Well, we are fixing to announce our November guest speaker.
We're fixing. Listen, fixing to. Where is she from?
That's right.
Hey, I told Rob I got a new hair dryer.
Yeah.
Oh, a jar.
That's so awesome.
Do you remember my
Y'all
story
who
last
aren't
November?
from Texas or Oklahoma, yes.
So the morning of our Veterans Appreciation Lunch in 2020, I'm a Texas girl. And I was ready to blow dry my hair and get it all fluffy and everything. And my blow dryer wouldn't work. And I started panicking. And then I looked myself in the mirror and I just went, you know what? I'm surrounding myself with veterans that have seen a lot worse than a Texas girl with wet hair. And then guess what? When I finally calmed down, my blow dryer started to work again.
Yes.
Well, I love that story. That's a great story. I mean, if you're a Texas girl and your hair dryer isn't working, that's
pretty serious.
A crisis moment right there. Well, but it was really sweet that you said that, and you said, if you guys can do this, then I can get through this too.
Absolutely.
You did a great job.
Yeah.
I love it. I think Sheena Lawless, the commander of the VFW, told John Keating one time, our councilman who's our sponsor, said, these people have been through combat. They can do so much.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. Make good employees, good, honorable employees. And so, yeah.
Yes. Well, I'd love to hear about your family, Rob.
Yeah.
I have an amazing family. I am truly blessed. Shelly Christian Altman is a Texas girl herself. Yeah. And I love the 80s photos of the big hair because it was a thing.
I have them.
You know, my 13-year-old daughter, Abby, said to Shelly one day, she said, did you have a bad hair day? And she said, no, that was a good hair day.
Yeah.
So,
was that called glamour shots?
You know,
back then?
I can't remember if it was an Olin Mills or a glamour shot, but it was great. And it was the 80s, and that's what we did. So Shelly is a wonderful lady. She has been with me for this year will be our 20th year of marriage. And we met and dated when I was in the service. She was doing an internship. And her dad was ready to get her back to Texas. He didn't realize that she was going to be dragging somebody extra along. I joke, people say, are you from Texas? I say, no, I got here as quick as I could. And I went to A&M twice, so I got my citizenship. All the Longhorn fans in the audience, I just want our game back. I know, yes, I'm an Aggie. I have to tell you, I went there. So in any event, Shelly went to North Texas and TWU. She's a Texas girl. Her dad was an insurance agent in South Dallas for almost 50 years. And they just, a wonderful family who welcomed me in, gave me a book, Born Again Texan. And I was sold. This is where we came. And we have a son who's 15, Will. He is just a passionate young man about history and his models. He loves art. My daughter is a rock star. I think that she thinks she's going to be president one day, and I'm all about her doing that because she is a passionate leader herself. And
very good.
We have great kiddos. We're so blessed. Will goes to Wakeland. Abby goes to Cobb Middle School. We have a wonderful family. Oh, and a dog and 2 cats.
Okay. Well, that's one of the things, though, that a supportive family is so important, especially for our veterans and servicemen and women. And you're modeling that by having a supportive family. And I'm sure you're a great encourager to them too. Well,
you know, I am always grateful. People say, thank you for your service. I say, it was my honor and you're worth it. But I also love bringing up the spouses and the family members. You know, Will was 2 years old. I was in Iraq. And Shelly tells me stories of him pointing at men around the grocery store and say, oh, look, there's a daddy. Because in his 2-year-old mind, he was trying to process that he hadn't seen his dad in some months. Yeah, and I remember coming home after a trip overseas when my little girl, she was 3, and it just crushed me. She said, you're my daddy, right? And so you think about how families go through that. And I had service members, non-commissioned officers, NCOs, and you think about the ladies that go through the birth of a child and going through that, you know, those first 6, 8, 12 weeks of having a brand new baby and their guy's not there to help them out. And so if they don't have family around them, those are some tough ladies. So I am always very quick to say those spouses and those families are awesome.
Yes, most definitely.
Well, you ready for some rapid fire?
Yeah, we're going to have some fun. You're not necessarily ready. You don't know what we're going to ask you.
I don't know what's coming, but we'll get through it together.
What's your favorite food?
My favorite food? Before my wife, the dietitian, it would have been pizza. Now, I guess I would just have to say grilled chicken and kale.
Okay.
Oh, that's the safe answer. Okay.
Probably pizza.
I know you've probably been to lots of different travel destinations, but what is your favorite right now?
Ooh. I'll tell you two. I love Bavaria. I love Garmisch-Partenkirchen in Germany, where I did that security studies course. Yes. Beautiful place. One of my favorite tours, Samarra, Iraq, was great, but I would have to say that I really enjoyed being in Saudi Arabia for a year.
Really? Wow. Okay.
And that is surprising to a lot of people, but a lot of great relationships there.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
Relationships.
Yeah.
Another one?
So one word that would describe you.
Genuine.
Okay. Like that.
We believe that.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. We do. Well, Rob, is there anything else you'd like to share before we conclude?
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for having a forum for positive and intentional talk. But one thing I want to share is that positive leadership, fighting for the right thing, believing in the right thing, doing the right thing is absolutely possible. And as long as I can, I will be seeking that out. I will be looking out to do what's right for our community.
Wonderful. Well, we thank you for that. We thank you for our service for sure.
Well,
and your wife.
It was our honor, and y'all are worth it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Wow.
That's great. Well, thank you as well for joining us for Intentional Talk with LisaKay and Taylor. You can find our podcast anywhere you get your podcast, and also on my channel on pray.com and on the Awaken Podcast Network. And recently we added Life Network for Women. So you can find us on Tuesdays and Thursdays there, and then go to the app and you can get this content anytime. Please continue to follow and support Fellowship Power Lunch. Stay tuned and be ready for our annual Veterans Appreciation event. And we just thank you for your support.
Yes. Thank you for joining us.